Asha.
Hello, love. How are you
How
doing?
are you? I'm doing well. I'm so glad we finally get to meet, honey.
Yes,
Up this
wonderful.
thing up on divorce and empower conversations.
Ooh, it's something that needs to be talked about. As I just was having recent release of layers, and it's been 15 years. It's like I'm glad you are doing this. As a licensed clinician, as well as one who's gone through it, working with the women as well as experiencing it has been a journey. So these conversations are needed. They're
Thank you
needed.
so
Yes,
much. So
thank you.
tell everybody who you are. We met on Facebook
Hmm.
years ago.
Hmm.
We have been connected ever since. A lot of our teaching sometimes intertwines with the sensuality, the womb health, and the divine feminine. Please tell
Yes.
everybody who you are, because I think you are just magnificent and magical, honey.
Reflections, honey. I always laugh. I was like, oh, that is a sister from another mother. I laugh at your frames, and I even laugh at hairstyles. It's so much similar,
I
and
see that.
and
You
all
still got
of
this
that.
ponytail going today,
Yours just a
girl.
little longer. I'm trying to have patience and not cut it off. So you keep me motivated. But I'm Asha Sims. I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a licensed mental health therapist, an integrative holistic therapist. I don't do just average therapy, meaning I have to incorporate the mind, the body, and spirit. In this process of working with women, I've seen the blockages that we have within our views on sex, sensuality, and sexuality. Working with those releasing church traumas, uh, traditions, the indoctrination of can I be sensual and sexual without, quote, being a hoe, and having to remove past those barriers. And then also that extra layer of helping those that in relationships, um, because when we put those titles and roles, we can lose ourselves if we don't know ourselves. So, my journey as a therapist and helping them with that, being a sensual arts educator, a yoga instructor, a shamanic energy healer. So, incorporating ancestral stuff and really helping us to identify what's in our lineage. A lot of us, we don't really go back to our ancestry tree and really look at the pattern of women and relationships. One side of the family, everybody may be married. This side of the family, the women are hard and have all the kids. We got to know our roots. So
Yeah.
the work I do is really deep. That is not just present, is spiritual, is ancestral. We're repeating patterns. Sometimes we don't realize. I have to stop and say, oh, my mama, me. Oh, how do I not repeat this cycle? How do I end up in this type of relationship and realizing I married my mom? What I left home was what I married. So those cycles sometimes they repeat, and we want to say, "Oh, life is this, relationship not this," but we also got to look at what we can attract. And if we don't go deep to find that root, that's what the shadow work is. The mask is saying this is who I am and this is what I want, but the root is saying, "Nah, this is what we've been through and this is what we used to," and wonder how does this show up in our lives. So I always say sometimes we have to go through these major shifts in relationships to find ourselves. It may hurt like hell, but it's important. And then finding that inner divine feminine flow. I was so tired being in a masculine energy or even finding myself, I was attracted to myself, which means I was attracted to alpha males. That was about let's get it done, that cockiness. I didn't like my ex-husband when I first met him. I couldn't stand him. I thought he was cocky. And I said, how did I get got? How did I get into this? But it was that alpha female of the challenge, like, oh, I got this. He
Mhm.
can't do this, or he don't know who he dealing with. And next thing I know, I'm being dealt. Look at the time. So, but that's kind of where my pattern. That's why I take my personal experiences, the things that have helped me heal, and this is what I apply now professionally. And so I don't do anything that I haven't done for myself, and that's why even as a therapist, I'm a transparent therapist because if I've been through this pain, and most of my clients are reflections of me, I'm glad I've done my work because otherwise it would be constantly triggering. But I understand my experience was part of my work. It was part of my spiritual path to help show up and be a light for other women and release the ego because I dealt with that relationship and didn't talk to nobody. When I tell people my story, they're like, what? But you don't want to talk about it because you put in judgment like, how the hell am I in this shit? I don't want to explain what's going on because then people going to look at me like this. So it was my marriage was very shifting and awakening. I put it that way. So that's who I am, where I am, at 54, embracing life, embracing my sensuality. I even feel even more sensual, and it doesn't even mean sexual. It's just really being in that feminine flow and allowing to receive and be a little softer with self.
Mm.
So that's
You
kind of where
said
I
a
am.
lot.
That
You
was a
said a
lot.
lot, honey. But baby, one thing that I keyed in on
Mm-hmm.
is you said you was in relationship when you got with your husband, with the man, you recognized that you was in relationship with your mother. Baby, that
Mm-hmm.
hit home for me
Mm-hmm.
because just in my 50s,
Mm-hmm.
through work, shadow work,
Yes.
through unveiling the
Mm-hmm.
layers, being real with myself and honest with my participation and responsibility in
Right.
the fuckery.
Mm-hmm.
You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Being there, I realized that I was connecting in relationships because it was the toxicity of what was familiar.
Right.
So I was bringing in the same toxicity and
Mm-hmm.
familiarity from what I experienced in
Mm-hmm.
relationships with my parent as a
Mm-hmm.
child.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me be 50 to get here. And sometimes we could be hard on ourselves, be
Yes.
like, well, God damn, why it took so long? I
Long.
picked this shit up in
Cause
my
we hard
30s.
headed
It
too.
wasn't time. It was,
Right.
and that's why I did a video. I said, "Look, y'all don't come for me. I got it when I got it. Goddamn it! I
Yes,
ain't going to
that's
six.
it.
I ain't going in my 60s with this shit. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
exactly. Like I said, we're in third quarter. So what we do now, how we play the game is important. We ain't got two more quarters to
But
make
no,
up.
no. So you said that, and let's go into first
Mhm.
off, how long were you married, and how long have you been divorced?
I was married 7 years, been divorced 15 years.
Okay.
Um, and I even look back when I said I feel like I have a storybook on that relationship. And sometimes I look back and wonder, like, did he really love me? Or did he see opportunity? Because I go back this where I say as women, we have to know our value. Because sometimes we minimize ourselves. It's like if you are a quarter, but you still want to say, oh, I'm just a dime. I'm not really a big quarter, but I know I have some value. I'm not a penny. Somebody from the outside is going to look and say, oh, that's a whole quarter and they acting like a dime. So they see the 15%
Hmm.
value that you're
And
not
they gonna
tapping
come in and
into.
get that
And they're going to come
15%.
in and then we want to
Yes.
cry and say, oh, they took advantage of me. No, we just didn't know who we were. We minimized our value and
Mm-hmm.
allowed to be taken advantage. So it's like I see now at that point in time what he did see in me. And so we were married. And I think I was talking to some friends with a group of women and how some were like, they just want to be married and how some have these husbands or I always saying it seems like forever men love me but they never wanted to make me the one. They're like, oh, you such a good woman. You would do this, but I was still not the chosen one. You might want to have me on the side, but I'm like, I'm not a side piece. And some women were like, I always have men asking me to marry to my date. I'm getting proposed to, and I wanted to be a side chick. And so we were talking about our energy and maybe ancestral stuff. And so when he
Okay.
asked me to marry me, I think I was just so happy that somebody was choosing me, that I didn't really be in myself to realize because it was like we were dating, we broke up, and when we came back together, that narcissist, now I realized the cycle, when he
Hmm.
came back together, he love bombed me and was like, you who I need, I want you to be my wife. I was floored, like somebody wants me to be a wife. And I
Yes.
said yes, and was ready to serve that purpose. And I didn't have my family come to the wedding. That should have been the next. He didn't want a large wedding and people around because he had an estranged relationship with his mom.
Mm.
Anytime I realize now he called his mom a crackhead bitch. I should have known then, not having respect and that forgiveness. Why
Hmm.
did I think I would have
Oh,
that same respect?
girl,
But
we ignore the red
right.
flags. We
But the
go in the water.
impact in me is like, oh,
Hmm.
he just needs love. I understand where
Yeah.
he's come from. Oh, he didn't
Yeah.
have this. I
Yeah.
can give him
You can
his cup. It's
excuse it because of things that
beautiful.
happened in their
Yes.
past. Yeah.
So we got married and it was beautiful until I started seeing the cycles. As a therapist, I would say I don't go into relationships to diagnose people. but I saw the mood disorder. Once I pulled myself out of it, I realized, oh, that was straight up bipolar mood disorder. And knowing what I know, when you grow up in an emotionally controlling or repressed household that is back and forth, you have to learn to adjust to that parents and shut down, or when they're not able. And so victims become the offenders. Offenders become the victim, becomes a cycle. And so in that, and realizing, when I finally realized the cycle I was in, and like, why am I tolerating this? This is what I felt when I was living at home. This is why I left my mom's house at 16 to go stay with my dad.
Yes.
And then I feel like, how am I here again, taking this from a man now? And it was that wake up point, because as a wife, I believed in that duty. I believe, like, to death do us part. How long do you stay dedicated? But by this time, after the cycles of, I don't want to be married no more, they throw that emotional abuse to make you feel less than. Or I realized it wasn't until I'm crying before I say, "You're good? Are we okay?" "Oh yeah, I'm fine. You good?" And so I let them be. And over time, the distance, the withdrawing, and finally it got to the point I'm like, and when I would say, "Well, is everything okay?" "Oh yeah, I don't know if I want to do this marriage." Where did this come from? Now I'm crying because I'm hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, nothing ever happened. He went back to the loving person. And I realized that was my mom. My mom was a very, she didn't have the emotional regulation, and would use, when she felt wounded, "I'm going to make you feel bad so that I can feel better." And that's what he did. And as soon as he realized I'm feeling bad, oh, he's back to the loving person. And so that cycle lasted for 7 years. Um, and that last part of the cycle, I got tired. I think I took him out for his birthday, and we weren't talking. And that's when he said, "I don't want to do this no more." And I'm like, "Nigga, I'm taking you out for your birthday, and you gonna say this when we've been in the house?" And I went home and started living upstairs, because I was like, I don't want to sleep in the bed with somebody that act like I'm bothering them. And
Yeah.
that lasted 10 months. And I'm in a beautiful 5,000 square foot house, living the life, but I don't even want my friends to come, because I don't want to see him acting funky and having to explain it. And I finally just got tired of it. That's really when I found energy work. I always tell people what helped me was when I found energy work in Reiki. It grounded me. It helped me to hear clearly what I needed to hear. And I heard Spirit say, you can't love a person that don't love themselves. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not your responsibility to love them enough, because it's taking power from you.
It's draining you.
That's
Yeah,
it.
it's draining you.
Yes.
So with that, um, you said some powerful things there as well. You talked about the disregard.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about the emotional deregulation.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing you off your square, always keeping you
Making me
off
think
your
I'm
square.
crazy.
Yeah, but
And we
always
had a
keeping you off
business
your square.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
We had a
and
business
you.
together. That gaslighting was real in
Oh,
front of employees. Like, this is what you gonna do.
yeah, it's interesting. You said some things that I also can relate to, having the big home,
Mm-hmm.
having the businesses, and having these investments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not just time, but energy, money. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Families, you have all of these investments. So you have built up your identity connected
To this
to
person.
your marriage. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about your marriage,
Right.
and we're taught very young, like you said you were so happy that somebody proposed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that is like the main thing they've taught us, conditioned us to look for as
Mm-hmm.
young girls.
Mm-hmm.
When someone proposed to you, oh, you're worthy.
Right.
That says you're
Right.
worthy. That
Exactly.
says you're worthy. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're not taught to be worthy in yourself. And me and the other sister, me and Latoya, we did another conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and we spoke about how when we're young, they want us to be married young. That's why going over 25 and 30, they say it's an
Right.
old maid. You getting
Right.
older now, you need to hurry to get
Mm-hmm.
married. In your 20s, you really don't even know who you are. You
Exactly.
have not even
To
connected to who
yourself.
you are as a young girl, as a young lady, as a young woman, your desires, your dreams. Nothing has gotten off the ground yet and started to bloom.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is just now being seeded and starting to germinate. It hasn't even
Exactly.
bloomed yet, and they already marrying you off to connect your identity to
Right.
a marriage into a
Mhm.
man. So when somebody asks you, okay, hey, I want you to be my wife. I love you. I think we could do this again. You just so enjoyed with that
Right.
feeling
Mm-hmm.
of I've been chosen.
Right.
Woo, baby, let's get into
Yes.
that. Come on, honey, let's
Of
get
being
into that.
chosen. That's what we all at the core of us as women. And we even look at how times have changed. We're having to adapt to a different cultural environment because I say, and even as I work with women that have the daughters around 24, 23, and getting frustrated with them, like, they need this, they need to be doing this, they need to get out, I can't do this. And I'm like, why push those young ladies out? Because at one point in time in our culture, you stayed at home until a man was able to show responsibility to court you to ask you to be the wife, because now he's responsible for your safety and your livelihood. There was no women just out there being single unless you were a widower. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like now we're pushing them, and often that pushes them into a man's arms to feel that you need this in order to be able to maintain. Because I don't care what nobody say, even with me and my business, it ain't no joke being a single woman maintaining a household by yourself in today's economy. We all want support and help. And I think
Mm-hmm.
within that, when we talk about the rise of the divine feminine, we're in a major shift now.
Yes.
So you hear men feeling like they're being emasculated. You trying to be, well, it's not necessarily that, but it's the rise of the divine feminine. There were times when we were the head of households, but that does not mean we don't need the masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
We just need you to hold space to keep us safe as we go out here and do this. And when we come back, I want to be soft. I don't
Yes.
want to be that in the world at home. But if a man does not feel like they have this, the condition of what a man is supposed to do, then they feel less than and insecure. So often it's not really a lot of us wanting to be the head of the household or being the boss, but we're having to assume roles that require a lot of masculine energy.
Hmm. I
Business
put a
women, single
I put up
women.
a post the other day and it said, I want a marriage do-over. My last time
Mm-hmm,
I showed up as the husband.
mm-hmm,
It said I need a marriage do-over.
mm-hmm,
And it's interesting you say that because I was just sitting thinking today, reflecting on my marriage and how I had to come home and still work. Like
mm-hmm,
I'm going to the spa. I'm dealing with three businesses in one. So
mm-hmm,
at the spa, I also had the school and I also had my tea business. So I'm dealing with three businesses,
mm-hmm,
in one.
mm-hmm,
And then I have employees I have to
mm-hmm,
look after. So I
mm-hmm,
got all this going on in a day. Okay. Every
mm-hmm,
day. Like even
mm-hmm,
sometime on the weekends, I'm working in a
mm-hmm.
day. And then when I get home, I have to work too because he needs help with his business. He needs help with this. He needs help with that. He didn't do XYZ, which he clearly knows how to do, but has just depended on me to
Mm-hmm.
do it for so long that he just
Mm-hmm.
kicks back. And I think about how I was felt so overworked and so overwhelmed, and that was it. I couldn't
Right.
come home and take my boss blazer
Right.
off.
You
I
had to
couldn't.
carry it 24
I,
hours.
I had to constantly, you know,
Okay, so
be
I'm gonna
in the
ask you this: with those roles, did that impact your sex life? Did you desire to have sex or didn't because of all these roles?
No, I did. It started to decline, but the
Mm-hmm.
passion started leaving the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It caused the passion to leave the relationship
Right.
because what I was doing, I was taking all that sexual energy and I was transmuting it
Yes.
in my business
Yes.
and being creative.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if I could
Mm-hmm.
have went home and took my boss blazer off and
Right.
and and
You might not have been doing all this extra stuff. Not
and
saying it wasn't beneficial, but right.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right. And so I find that, yeah, that's exactly what happened because I had to get really focused in because I was doing so much. I had to always focus in on the extraction of my energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what was happening, I wasn't being refilled by
That's it.
my love, by the
Mm-hmm.
love. The love should have
Mm-hmm.
been refilling me, and the love wasn't
Because what
refilling.
was happening, you had a beautiful relationship that you thought was an exchange of energy, but it was really somebody saw your value and
Mhm.
connected to you. So it wasn't a equal
No,
exchange. It was one
it wasn't.
dependent or attached, and that's when it drains your life force energy. And you're
Yes.
wondering why I can't move forward. I even tell people, if your money was good until you got into the relationship and all of a sudden got funny, it's some blockages somewhere
Right.
with it.
Right.
You know, but those are
Right.
things we don't want to look at. Oh, it couldn't be that. That's not that. But like you said, now in a do-overs a relationship, when people say, I can't believe you still single, I can. It's not that I don't want to, but I learned a lot. I learned about
Mm,
boundaries. I learned about my needs, and it's not being selfish, but if you can't meet these, why play games? I'm not even going to
okay.
try to make you be what we often say, he doesn't love me because I've been telling him what I need. No, sometimes a person only loves at the capacity they can. They may not have the capacity to love you on what you need. So either you have to let it go or minimize yourself
Mm-hmm.
to meet that level. So the key is really, do you know what it takes to love you and what you need to be in a marriage fully and wholly now?
Mm,
That's why I said, because a lot of us, we just was going into roles of what ideology and society said, but a marriage is a lot deeper than that.
yeah.
So I always say, it's not that I wouldn't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it differently. I have more wisdom. But in the meantime, I'm fine being by myself.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What did what did you learn about yourself in the marriage,
Hmm.
and what did the divorce teach you about yourself? Let's go there.
The marriage let me know what my true value is that I didn't see, that I thought I needed this to have value.
Okay.
So, like I said, I started a business with him. The day we got married, we were signing our the articles and sending it off to the state. He needed my master's degree in as a clinician to start the group homes. So I learned a lot about business during that marriage, even after the fact of the nonsense when he tried to fire me from a business that I helped him start. That narcissist, because I left.
Ooh, the
That
audacity.
financial
The
control, because I took my
audacity.
power back, is where he felt he could control. So when I say I learned a lot about business, even the aspect of I can do business, I realized I was the business, not in an egoic, but
Yes.
I was the business.
I
You needed this
get it.
aspect for it to be fully
Mhm.
operable. So I learned that in that dynamic. I learned how you can sometimes love someone. It's not, you can't love people, but if you're not loving yourself to the same intensity, then you're gonna burn out and become disgruntled and unhappy. So after that, the awareness of a woman, my womanhood, I was 40 when I got divorced.
Okay.
And I laugh because we talk about those moments, those pivotal moments. So mind you, I was saying that that last part of my, before I left, 10 months, we weren't even sleeping in the same room, hadn't been intimate. And I used to always joke at people, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be a cougar. I'm gonna be a cougar. I'm gonna get me a young guy. Baby, let me tell you, it was this young guy that awakened me. He activated me. After that,
You had some of that good male chi.
honey,
Gave you some life.
and because I remember, I'll never forget that day. I was at this event. I wasn't even thinking about nobody. He was sitting in his chair, and I had to cross over his legs to get by. And it was like when I stepped over the legs and looked at him dead in the
Felt the
eye,
energy.
that contact, girl, that was all it took. And I was with, because he was only 34. I'm 40. I'm like, oh, this. And I never, that was when I say everybody should have some whole days. I call it healing our experiences.
Honey, I
That's what I call it.
call it happiness over
All
everything.
of that. And that is what I needed. Took them cobwebs away. And I said, this younger guy can feel, and I realized, oh, I still got it. Because I'm at this
Yeah.
point, I'm feeling old, not appreciated, not sexual. I had picked up weight, not feeling myself. And I feel like he cleared those cobwebs, that I had a
Come on.
whole new energy and
Knocked them
thoughts about
cobwebs right
myself
up out
at
of that
that
thing,
time.
didn't it?
Yes.
Them
So I
out.
laughed because after that and had that experience, and we never did really connect it. It was just what I needed. I feel like it was an activation.
Okay.
I met my son's father. Now, mind you, I was married for 7 years and couldn't get pregnant. Wasn't using no birth control. Every time having sex, I'm looking nothing. So I'm thinking, oh, I'm 40. This is not supposed to happen. I moved out. We got married on Valentine's Day. I moved out on Valentine's Day. I was a little petty. I had to do a little pettiness there. So
Mhm.
I left on Valentine's Day because I said I'm gonna be out by CIAA. So I could have fun. But I met my son's father like 3 months after I left the marriage, and he was 15 years older.
Okay.
And I laughed because at that time I'm glad that angel came into my life after this bitter divorce, because I would have been a bitter broad. I would have been out here reckless. F these men, I'm gonna get mine, because I'm just upset from where I was to the
Mhm.
disappointment. And this man, 15 years my older, taught me how to be a woman. And I'm
Mm.
so thankful he came into my life to soften my heart and gave me a child. He was
Yeah.
55, I was 41. He died when I was 5 months pregnant.
Oh.
So it was a shift that I went through this crazy divorce.
Mm.
Then I get pregnant. I'm excited, like, oh, and I'm gonna have a partner. I'm not gonna be a single parent mom. And then
Yes.
he left this earth. But I realized all those experiences, it was all for a reason. It was all for a divine purpose. I love so differently now. I have a child that is an expression of me to love. I had a man that came after a bitter heart that showed me about being a woman,
Mm.
and loving myself, and what it meant to be revered by man and respected. So I had two different extremes. I would say, why is the good ones is leaving up out of here, and the damn
Yeah.
devil is living his life? But it was part of the experiences. So I say
Okay.
all around, I've experienced so many blessings since that marriage that I hadn't had time to get stuck. But the only thing that stuck me was the poverty mindset that came from living that and falling, what I perceived at the time falling, and blocking myself from going back to that point, because I said, oh, that was a hard fall,
Mhm.
bringing in $5,000 a month. This after taxes, having a 5,000 square foot house, and then going to, because when I said this man tried to ruin me to nothing, this other man, Angel, came in, and I remember saying, I ain't got time for no relationship. I don't want nobody. I don't want no labels. And he said, I just want you to be you.
Mm.
And I'm so thankful I was open and not bitter to receive that, to heal. And from then, it's been still a healing journey from all of that, even having a child now, and being a mom, and seeing me and my mom, and my mom and me. So
Yes.
now when we talk about generational stuff, and this is something that one of the things I had to realize, as being a victim, sometimes you become an offender. That emotional manipulation, I had to catch myself from not falling into it. And I didn't realize it until one time, because my ex-husband do the same, make you feel guilty or bad about something until you're hurt. My mom used to do it, and it wasn't until I became a mom in the mirrors, and it was something my son did that bothered me. I think he's asked me, did I want some eggs? And I said, yeah. And I was in the session, was ready to eat the eggs when I got out. And I said, where are the eggs? Oh, I ate them. And I'm like, and you didn't think to make me anymore. And I remember going back, and you didn't do this. You don't think about me. I do all this for you. And I was going back, and he wasn't responding because he was playing video games. That was bothering me. So I'm going back. And it wasn't until he finally looked and realized he had really hurt me. And then he felt hurt that I'm like, oh, he get it now. And then it was like, Asha, that's
Mm.
the same
Mm.
thing your ex-husband used to do. That's the
Wow.
same thing your mother used to do. And I had to go back and apologize. And I have to stop myself, because I realized I was wanting him to feel bad because I was feeling bad. And I said, that's that damn cycle of abuse that we don't realize. So we have to honor our traumas in order to heal
Yes.
from them. If we still
Yes.
acting like it wasn't there, we're going to continue to perpetuate. And even though we're not a victim, you may subconsciously come into that, be that
That's
offender.
the patterns.
That's the
That's the
pattern.
patterns. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the patterns. And that's why I say divorce, as much as I could speak about my relationship. I could speak about the lack of emotional intelligence. I could
Mm-hmm.
speak about the abuse. I could speak about all that. But it always goes back to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's always gonna go back to me. So I say that to say let's discuss how that feminine energy, that divine feminine energy that we've been conditioned
Mm-hmm.
to move away from due
Mm-hmm.
to us having to be on survival
Yes.
mode, fight and flight all the time.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And we feel like the feminine energy doesn't serve us
Mm-hmm.
in those ways because we got to be more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Many times we have to be our own protector. We got to be
Mm-hmm.
our own providers.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to show up. Let's talk how this feminine energy, tapping into that, can actually help us to heal.
Yes. So in the work I do as a therapist and integrative, I also call myself the chakra therapist. So I work with the energy centers, in individual therapy, coaching, relationship counseling. You got to understand who you are, your energy centers, what they stand for, and how, if that energy center is blocked, you're going to be drawn to this type of person to help you feel complete instead of filling yourself up
Mm-hmm.
with the energy that you need to heal. So often that root chakra, that's about feeling safe, feeling secure, and your basic needs being met.
That's survival. Mm.
Survival. That's where trust comes in. Now, I can honestly say, unfortunately, as I started doing this work and talking about sexuality, of realizing how many women have been sexually violated or abused
So
in
it's
that
blocked.
developmental time of life
Mm-hmm.
by, it could be daddy, brother, cousin. So in some aspect, how much trust are you really going to have later on in life? Those are
Yes.
things I have to go through with
Yes.
couples to even understand their relationship issues. When the man say, why she don't trust me, I'm doing all that. Well, if she couldn't trust her daddy, brother, cousin who did this, you can love her all day, she's still side eye. And so not understanding of that, how that trauma has an impact on you, because by this time, if it happened that early on, we trying to move forward, we ain't thinking about it no more, but it still follows you. And so if that root chakra is not operating its full capacity, when it's time for that energy to go up to the sacral center of love, sensuality, free flowing creativity, pleasure, your right to have pleasure. Because if we are not able to meet our needs, we don't have pleasure. That's like you got $100 to last you 2 weeks, and you got to pay bills, have gas, and your girlfriend say, "Oh, let's go see the Cat Williams." You gonna be like, "Girl, didn't you just hear me say I only got $100? I can't go see no Cat Williams." And you put yourself in that root chakra survival lack mode. Sometimes I have to say you might need to take a portion of that 100, because we're talking about flow of energy, and invest it in something in you that makes you feel good, to elevate your energy frequency so that you can bring in the things on that frequency. If you stand down here in this fear mode, you're going to be looking through the glass ceiling of all things you feel you can have, and maybe hit it, fall back down, and like, how they get this, how they doing that, and don't realize that you keeping yourself capped. So if you allow that to flow and receive, you may go see that cat once. How you know you may meet your love of your life at that show, because you're increasing your frequency to have fun, joy, and pleasure, not
Mm-hmm.
keeping yourself in a state of survival. And so that's why I had to realize, even 15 years later, I have to work on my root chakra. I'm still always not feeling safe, because I feel like the rug was ripped up from under me. So I'm in so much of a survival mode. That aspect of feeling joy and pleasure got stagnant. And I went through a time period where I wasn't having orgasms. I couldn't. I'm thinking, okay, I had a child at 40. Is it stretched out of shape? Am I not? I can't have many minis out here trying to get that one itch of my orgasm, and it can't
Yeah.
be because they ain't big enough. It can't be. I was like, what is going on? And that's when I started studying the art of Tantra as an energy work. I took it to another level of understanding that flow of sexual energy. And like you said, I started learning about sexual
Yeah.
transmutation. People
Yes.
ask me all the time, you do so much. You got this going on. And I be laughing. I said, but wait till I get a partner, divine partner. Y'all
Baby.
ain't gonna see my ass.
Baby.
I'm gonna be doing some other
Baby.
work. Right now, I'm having to transmute so it doesn't get stuck, and I don't do things I don't need to do, because you keep it in that lower frequency of lust. So a lot of people, when they think of sex, oh, I'm stressed. I need this. I need to go get me some. Or as when I'm seeing of our age on the other side, I don't need sex. I don't think about sex.
Shit.
We should be
Look,
getting it until
baby.
80. Not,
Okay.
if you
Let me
if you
say
don't
this.
have a sex drive, your chi, your life force energy is low.
Yes, and it's
It's
blocked. But let me
blocked.
also say this: as I get older, it's interesting because men always have something negative to say about empowered women.
Yes.
Right. So I get a lot of, at your age, don't nobody want you raising, and you probably ain't got it in juicy anyway, and you didn't dry it up like a
And heck, they
prune.
can't
If
even get
you
it up
only
themselves now.
wait, but the thing is, even though they say all that, they still, if I gave it to them, they take it. You see what I'm saying? So what
Right.
stop them from getting
Right.
it? Okay. But
Right.
baby, as I get older, as we get older,
Mm-hmm.
hunty, if
It,
I tell you the water
let me tell
faucet don't stop
you,
running,
time
and
pink. Prime P.
it's something, and I said, this must be my Kundalini energy
Yes.
because it's something so deeply rooted within
Mm-hmm.
the base of my stomach. I can feel it, and
Yes.
I need something to get up in there and unlock it.
Yes, and
I need
unlock
some,
it. That's
need
it. To
something. I
unlock it,
need
it's
something to
activating.
unlock it and uncoil it, honey, and activate it. And
Right.
I can feel it in there stimulating. It's
Mm-hmm.
stimulating. It's just
Yeah.
stimulating.
Stimulate.
So, yeah. So go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about our sexual energy and
Mm-hmm.
how important that is. Because you said some really important things. You
Yes.
said by us not experiencing our pleasure, our
Mm-hmm.
joy. And I speak about this
Mm-hmm.
too, not experiencing pleasure, not giving yourself the right
Right.
to pleasure, not giving yourself permission to
Mm-hmm.
feel joy, staying
Right.
stuck in that
Yes.
survival mode. That is an area of lack.
Yes.
And one thing I recognize when coming out of my marriage,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was with him, I had built and created all of these beautiful things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I even knew how to take his energy and
Mm-hmm.
transmute it, that male
Mm-hmm.
energy and
Mm-hmm.
transmute it. And I also offered my energy, my feminine energy to him.
Mm-hmm.
He just was, I don't think he understood
Right.
transmutation because when I got our energies together, I continued to
Exactly.
create,
Mm-hmm.
and not just create, manifest
Mm-hmm.
it. Okay, so I
Mm-hmm.
was also manifesting, and I recognized when I left the marriage, it's like everything shut down. Everything shut down. My
Yep.
creativity shut down. My manifestations shut down.
Mm-hmm.
My flow of energy and money, my
Mm-hmm.
circulation of money, my
Mm-hmm.
currency,
Mm-hmm.
everything shut down. Now here we're talking about having $3,000 and $4,000 days.
Right.
You know, like I'm
Exactly.
make I done made over $2.2 million in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about manifesting on that
Exactly.
level, and here I don't even have $50 coming in for a week. I'm trying to figure out what the
What's
hell just
going on?
happened
Right.
here. But it was
Mm-hmm.
fear. It
Mm-hmm.
was the fear of, and I'm gonna admit this. It was the fear of feeling like I had reached my pinnacle when I was with him because
Right.
I hadn't reached any that large. I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't did things on that scale before. So
Mm-hmm.
I felt like because I reached this pinnacle with him that that was all. Damn.
Yeah.
I just missed the mark.
Right.
I failed. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
And honey,
Mm-hmm.
I just recently, just last year, I heard my spirit team say, "Oh, you think that's all we got for
Right.
you? That's all you want?
Right.
You think you
Exactly.
gonna put a cap
Yes.
on you? You
Yes.
gonna put a
I
cap on
my
it?
spiritual team been
Let's
cussing me out lately.
they said, you way more than that, baby. We
Right.
got so much more for you. You look at
Exactly.
that as an experience,
Right.
be happy in
Mm-hmm.
it, get the blessings
And
out of it, love the journey, even the journey with him. Love the journey.
mm-hmm.
But it's time for you to move on and elevate, baby, from
That's
that.
it. That's
From
it.
that. Let's talk about that.
Yes. That elevation is real. And like we have to realize we have to let sometimes our ego will keep us attached to things. You know, it's like, I can't believe this, or, I can't. That was my thing. I can't believe he did that to me. And finally, my healing came from release your ego. Who you think you are? You just another human, and everybody always got a right to change their mind or change their opinion. So get yourself up and get
Yeah.
back out there. Stop being hurt and do what you got to do. And I think that whole thing of that rebound, one thing I can say was beneficial for me because I'm the oldest of three brothers. I was the only female on my block, and I'm the only female cousin my age. My daddy's been in his life. I'm a daddy's girl. So I've had nothing but positive
Male energy.
masculine energy around me. Nothing but positive masculine energy around me. So, in that capacity of healing after that divorce, is where I started creating the goddess community
Okay.
because I realized I needed sister support. Before, I was always taught, don't trust no broads, don't tell them your business because they're going to try to kick you down. They try to take, a lot of that conditioning response from a lot of trauma, the past generations, and what they felt, that division,
Yes.
I was still buying into. And I realized then, if it wasn't for support, if it wasn't for the sisterhood, I don't know what kind of play. I say Reiki too, but it's that sisterhood that I realized that I needed to help pull me up out of that
Hmm.
space.
So we needed
We,
community healing. And that's what
yes,
I recognized. I
yes,
needed community healing.
mhm,
I did need my sisters in that time. If it
right,
wasn't nothing but just to vent. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? And I know, in the venting stage, I had to still be aware of who I was venting
right.
to.
That
Because
part
what I recognized is that a lot of sisters were envious
of that
of what I
lifestyle,
had, and yet
right?
I'm venting to them about what I no longer have. And that's something they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So it
Mm-hmm.
was, I wasn't, wise
Mm-hmm.
in that
Or
area.
discernment. That's what I've
That's what it
learned. I
did.
got a
Discernment.
big heart,
Yeah,
but somebody say, "Hold,
right,
before you give all that, use discernment. Use the
right.
spirit of discernment."
Yeah, so I didn't have proper discernment in that. And so what they, they couldn't give me, the love or the feedback that I think that I needed from that sister community, because many of them were looking up to me in the marriage and in that relationship. And these are things that they actually wanted for themselves. So I had got to a space where I literally had to sit in this by myself. No
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
No community. I
Mm-hmm.
got to a point where I had no community. And then now, in about a year, I'm starting to rebuild a new
Mm-hmm.
community. So
And that's it.
yeah.
Rebuild it. And that's what I didn't have one, but I
Yeah.
built it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say now, even when I do events and activities, I always say I'm not doing this to make money most of the time. This is what's in my head and my creativity. So I'm like, if I'm coloring and I'm like, oh, this be fun to color and have some music and have some wine. I know it's other women that want to do the
Yeah.
same. So then I'll create a coloring book night. And my thing is this is my way of still not sitting in the house and saying we can't make up excuses. We still have to get active and be out and be a part to be seen. That's another thing. Stop minimizing and step up and be seen. Be
Come on.
seen, be sensual, be daring, be bold. And I think after I came out of that marriage and realized I lost myself, and I had another friend, step into your feminine more, because I ain't never liked pink. I didn't like colors. I was straight black all the time in colors and
Blocking
outfits,
all the energy,
all
huh?
of it. So now I make time. That's why I keep bright colored glasses.
Yeah.
Most of the time I got bright colors. Everybody say you out here looking like a Skittle, and I'm like, right. My thing is, if
Hmm.
I need you to know. I know I'm here. I'm standing in my truth and prayer. So if you look, I'm here. That's how I feel. I'm ready to be seen now. There's no more minimizing. I know who I am. When I step into a space, I know my energy is going to command space. And that's how I've had to learn to grow, is like that lotus flower, because I know I also hold space for many other women who don't even realize they're taking up space.
Hmm.
It's like my
Come on.
my role now is to be a light, to tell my testimony, to help you shine your light bright. Like, don't minimize it because of the situation. Turn that up right now. Be bold. Be bold in your sensuality. Claim it. And that's why I tell people, what do you like? What do you desire in a relationship? For some, if you're stable root chakra and your needs are met, your income is good, your desire may be strictly just for an intimate sexual relationship.
Yes.
And if that's what you want, so be that. Don't mean you a
So
hoe.
be
That
it.
don't mean anything. That's just what you need. Compared to somebody who may not have the money, they may be drawn to somebody who got money, and that's all they worry about. They're like, I don't care about the sex. I don't need that. It's all about identify what are your
Hmm.
needs
And everybody's needs are different.
are different. It's not going to
Yes.
look the same for everybody, but you got to realize what are your needs, what are your false needs. And I say your false needs are those areas that you lack in, that you think if I date somebody or marry somebody that got that, that's going to help me level up.
Right.
That's
That's
that
something you
that
have to
that may
already
face a
have
hole.
in yourself that can only enhance that.
Because
Right.
sometimes these
Tell everybody.
relationships help us patch these holes.
Yeah. Basically, that's what's been going on.
Mhm.
But see, that it takes you a level of awareness to really recognize
Right.
that as well. Now, I
Mhm.
want you to tell everybody how they can find you, how they can work with you, what you got going on.
All right. You can find my M on Facebook as Asha Sims, ASHASIMS. I'm on Instagram as the Chakra Therapist. In Charlotte, I have several businesses. So if you see different things and be like, what all is she doing? That's why I said, wait till I get a man. Y'all ain't gonna see me. But but I have the Zen Chi Lounge here. It's a place for all to come
Zen
for
Key
yoga.
Lounge.
Zen Chi
Okay.
Lounge. We have yoga, we have tantra classes, We have belly dance classes because that's all about getting into your feminine. We have sensual dance classes. I laugh. I did a sensual dance class the other week. A friend of mine said, "Look at you flopping around on that floor." I said, "I sure enough was flopping around, but I felt good to be 54 and did a whole
Yes.
routine, and it just gave my confidence about myself." So activities to embrace that feminine divine. So check that out. That's www the Zenchi Lounge, Zenchi. And then my business is Shakti Wellness. I'm a therapist. So if you're in the North Carolina area and this hits home, I work with women that are dealing with narcissistic relationships, coming out of marriages, embracing your sensuality, just finding yourself. And then if it's not therapy, I'm starting a 7-week coaching program in April on the chakras. It's a chakra exploratory program where we go through each developmental stage of the chakra to explore where we're stuck, how we need to clear it out to put things in action so that we can step into our whole healed, activating self. So within all of that, that's what I do. Find me. It's a variety. There's no excuse that I don't have something that can help you.
Yes.
Body work, yoga. That's why I became a yoga teacher at 40, at 41, after I had my son, because everybody said, "Oh, you already thick. You're going to blow up." I said, "Bullshit. You're not going to put that on me." And I became a yoga. I said, "I ain't going out here running." But the yoga helped me identify with my body and kept me grounded, because when I left my marriage, I had gained like 80 pounds. And I was like, how did I get to this
Yes.
point? I disconnected from my body. I wasn't present. I'm up in my head.
Mhm.
I wasn't physically. And so yoga helped me come back into my body, and also helped me deal with my I'm pregnant at 41 PTSD to
Yes.
keep me grounded as a mama. But it helped keep me grounded and be in my body. And that's another thing at Black women. I do a lot of body work stuff because we're not happy. We're
We
not
don't feel
enjoying our sex
safe.
lives
We don't
because
feel
we're worried
safe
about our roles,
because
or
we don't
things.
feel
We
safe.
don't feel
We
safe.
don't feel
We don't.
safe as Black women most of the time. I'm just
Mhm,
now beginning to feel safe in my 50s,
mhm.
and that's because I'm doing my own work.
Yes,
I'm really like
that's it.
sitting in meditation. I'm doing my yoga, and I'm
Mhm.
constantly doing reaffirming affirmations
Patience.
saying, I'm safe.
Yes.
I'm tapping in, doing body scans.
Mhm.
I'm tapping in
Like if I
with
have
my
a
body.
symptom, what's going on? Why am I
Yes,
feeling this? Or what's around me that I need to pick up on? Because now I realize my body is sensitive to
yes,
things.
yes,
And so
yes.
now it's no excuses. Oh, I didn't know that. When you knew you had that funny feeling in your stomach and you still did it, it ain't no more. Why did this happen? That's why I say sometimes we're hard
Right,
headed because we
right.
got the signs and signals when your stomach started acting up or your eyes started
Yeah.
twitching and you
Yeah,
overlook.
the
Oh,
body
oh,
is
it's
all,
nothing.
baby, the body keeping score.
All,
The body is
all the
always
time.
telling you, honey, what's going on with you. We be
Yes.
ignoring it. We got a
Yes.
little toothache. We feel a little something. We want to wait, 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 wait,
Exactly.
wait, wait. Now we
Exactly.
can't go to the dentist because it's a Saturday. We over there, mouth swole, so we do it all the time. I
All the
get it.
time.
So I would love to have you back.
Yes.
We got so many other more topics to speak on. One I
Definitely.
really picked up on was about being safe,
Being
being
safe.
safe. So I would like us to come back at some point and let's talk about how us as Black women can be and feel more safe in our bodies
Being
with all
safe.
of the different
Yes.
traumas and things that we've experienced, because it's
Yes.
hard to do. Many times we don't even know we don't feel
And
safe.
that's
I did not
what's
realize that.
blocking the orgasm.
Yeah,
You may have
come,
sex,
yes,
but you may not
yes.
be having an orgasm. So
Yes,
that's a
right. And you might
whole
you might be having some climaxes.
right.
Climaxes
Right.
here and there, and you think
Right.
you equating that as an orgasm, honey. No, a full
Hmm.
body orgasm. You hearing tones, seeing colors,
All of
you meeting God.
that. It's all
You
of that.
meeting God,
Yes.
baby.
Traveling in another world, another country.
Yes.
Yes.
So I want
And
to
that
thank
and that's
all of
what's
you.
sad. We have to talk about it because a lot of women don't believe that's
Oh,
possible.
it's
They've been
possible.
having the intimacy, they haven't been connected to themselves to have
Right.
true connection with others and don't realize that bliss.
Yes.
And when you get older in age, or I can look at women to see who ain't having orgasms. You
Yes.
age faster.
Mm. Come on, come on. So we're gonna get
Very
back together. We're gonna talk
yes.
about that. I want to thank all of you who are here for our Divorce
Thank you.
Empowered Conversations. If you'd like to join a safe and supportive community, you can go check us out on Facebook over at the Rebirth Collective Community. It is for women who are over 40, who are experiencing divorce or who are divorced, and you need that space and and just to tap in with other women because you are on a journey of reinvention. Check us out on Facebook. I'm Tracy Bryant. This is Asha Sims, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Join our safe and supportive community for women who are over 40, recovering from divorce, and in the process of reinvention and finding happiness. The Rebirth Collective.